The late afternoon sun casts golden light over the quiet suburban neighborhood of Oak Ridge Estates. Birds chirp lazily, and the faint scent of freshly cut grass lingers in the air. My home, a cozy, craftsman-style house with a wraparound porch, is my sanctuary. I moved here for peace, a place to unwind after long hours running my business. And for the past 2 years, my favorite spot has been my porch swing. It's nothing extravagant, just a sturdy wooden bench suspended by thick ropes, swaying gently in the breeze. After work, I sit there with a glass of sweet tea, watching the world slow down. But peace doesn't last long in this neighborhood. Not when the HOA is involved. It starts with a letter, tucked neatly into my mailbox. The envelope is stamped with the HOA's logo, the kind of thing that makes homeowners' stomachs sink. I tear it open and scan the contents. Dear homeowner, it has come to our attention that an unapproved structure has been installed on your front porch. In accordance with HOA regulations, all exterior modifications require approval from the board. Please remove the swing immediately or face daily fines of $100 until compliance is met. I blink. Unapproved structure? It's a swing. The same swing that's been there for 2 years. At first, I think it's a mistake. Maybe a new board member got overzealous. Maybe they sent the letter to the wrong house. But when I walk outside, I notice something strange. Across the street, Mrs. Carter, an older white woman who has never once waved back at me, sits on her porch. She glares in my direction, her lips pressed into a thin line. Next to her, another HOA member, Greg Sanders, leans in and whispers something. They both look my way, shaking their heads. A slow realization creeps in. This isn't about the swing. It's about me. I glance around at the other houses. White picket fences, perfectly trimmed hedges, and nearly every resident fitting the same mold: white, wealthy, retired. I'm one of the few black homeowners in this entire neighborhood. I worked hard to get here, but some people still act like I don't belong. I grit my teeth, folding the letter in my hand. They want to fight? Fine, I'll play along. But they have no idea who they're messing with. As I turn to go back inside, I can already feel the gears turning in my head. They want to take away my swing? Oh, they have no idea what's coming next. The next morning, I step outside with my coffee, expecting to enjoy my usual quiet start to the day. But something feels off. The neighborhood, usually serene at this hour, hums with hushed conversations. People steal glances at my house, whispering to one another. I pretend not to notice, but my grip tightens around my coffee mug. Then I spot her. Carol Whitmore, president of the Oak Ridge Estates HOA, struts down the sidewalk like she owns the place. Late 50s, sharp features, and the kind of smile that never reaches her eyes. She's the self-appointed gatekeeper of this community, the type who believes that keeping undesirables out is part of her civic duty. I've seen her in action before, lecturing a Latino family about the proper height for a mailbox, questioning a young black couple about whether they were visiting or actually lived here. Now she's heading straight for my porch. "Morning, Carol," I say, forcing a polite tone. She barely acknowledges me, her eyes scanning my porch like she's inspecting a crime scene. "You got our letter, I assume?" "I did." I take a slow sip of coffee. "It's about my swing, right?" She clasps her hands together, a sickly sweet smile stretching across her face. "It's not personal. Rules are rules. That swing violates our community's aesthetic guidelines." I glance across the street. The Thompsons, a retired white couple, have a nearly identical swing on their porch. Same wooden design, same cozy setup. Funny, their swing looks fine to me. Her smile tightens. They received prior approval. Really? I fold my arms. Because I don't remember any rule against porch swings when I bought this house. Carol tuts, shaking her head. Homeowners should familiarize themselves with policy changes. We update them regularly. There it is. The game she's playing. The HOA can change the rules whenever they want, and somehow those changes always seem to target people like me. "You have until the end of the week to remove it," she adds, already turning away. "We wouldn't want this to escalate into a fine, now would we?" A slow burn ignites in my chest. This isn't about a swing. This is about control, about reminding me that no matter how much I've accomplished, no matter how much I belong here, people like her will always look for ways to push people like me out. I watch Carol walk away, her posture stiff with self-importance. Across the street, Mrs. Carter smirks at me from her porch. Something is definitely wrong here, and if they think I'm gonna back down quietly, they've got another thing coming. I spend the next 2 days combing through the HOA's bylaws, determined to find the exact rule Carol claims I violated. But no matter how many pages I flip through, I come up empty. There's nothing, no clause, no amendment, not a single mention of porch swings being prohibited. That's when I know for sure this isn't about policy. It's about power. So, on the third morning, I decide to push back. I walk straight to the HOA office, a small, beige building at the edge of the neighborhood, where the real estate agency used to be before Carol turned it into her personal kingdom. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of printer ink and self-importance. Carol sits behind a polished oak desk, looking up with thinly veiled annoyance. "Ah, Mr. Johnson," she says, lacing her fingers together. "What can I do for you?" I drop a copy of the HOA bylaws onto her desk. "You can start by showing me where, exactly, it says porch swings aren't allowed." Carol's smile doesn't waver, but something in her eyes hardens. She flips through the pages at a leisurely pace, as if she has all the time in the world. Then, she finally sighs and closes the booklet. "The rule was recently updated," she says smoothly. "It takes time for new amendments to be added to the official documents." I cross my arms. "And when exactly was it updated?" Her smile sharpens. "Last month." "Last month? My swing has been here for 2 years, untouched. But suddenly, after all this time, it's a problem? And what a convenient coincidence that the rule changed right around the same time the HOA started cracking down on undesirable elements in the neighborhood. I lean forward. "So let me get this straight. You changed the rule after I already had a swing up, and instead of telling me, you just fined me for breaking a rule that didn't exist when I put it there." "Rules apply to everyone," she says, her voice dripping with condescension. "We must maintain a certain standard for the neighborhood." A certain standard. Yeah, I know exactly what she means. I shake my head. "You know this is targeted, right? The Thompsons have the same swing, but they haven't been fined." She gives a dismissive wave. "They requested approval first." I narrow my eyes. "Then let me request approval." Carol clucks her tongue. "Oh, I'm afraid that's not possible." "Why not?" She tilts her head. "Because we're no longer accepting retroactive approval requests. It's in the new amendment." There it is. The final move in her little power play. The rules are whatever she wants them to be. A slow rage simmers in my chest, but I keep my voice calm. "All right, if that's how you want to play this, fine." She raises an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" I turn to leave. "You'll see soon enough." Carol doesn't know it yet, but she just made a huge mistake. Gathering the troops. That evening, I knock on the Thompsons' door. Mr. Thompson, a retired Navy vet, answers, his bushy white eyebrows lifting in surprise. "Evening, son. What can I do for you?" I waste no time. "Did you get HOA approval for your porch swing?" He frowns. "Nope. Been there for years. Nobody said a word about it." I exhale sharply. "Yeah, that's what I thought." He studies my face for a long moment, then grunts. "Let me guess. Carol's pulling some nonsense." I nod. He sighs. "Not the first time. She picks and chooses who she enforces rules on. I don't like it, but my wife and I keep our heads down." "I get that," I say, "but I'm not letting this slide." His eyes flicker with something unreadable before he nods. "Good. What do you need?" "Just your word that she never approved your swing. If this goes further, I might need you to confirm that in front of a few people." Mr. Thompson hesitates, then nods. "Yeah, I can do that." One ally down. Time to get more. Racial injustice in broad daylight. Over the next 2 days, I talk to other homeowners, Black, Latino, even some white families who've had their fair share of Carol's selective rule enforcement. The stories spill out. A Black couple fined for having a garden gnome. A Latino family forced to repaint their house 3 times to meet some unwritten HOA standard. Meanwhile, their white neighbors faced zero scrutiny. By the end of the week, I have more than just evidence, I have numbers. So when I get the next fine in the mail, this time doubled to $200 per day, I don't panic. I don't get angry. I smile. Because now, it's my turn to play. Saturday morning. The HOA meeting. The conference room at the community center is packed. Neighbors whispering, chairs scraping against the floor. The tension thick as a storm about to break. I take my seat near the front, my expression calm, but inside, my pulse drums like a war drum. This is it. The moment Carol thinks she's about to put me in my place. She stands at the front of the room, a smug smile stretched across her face, her pearl necklace gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Next to her, Greg Sanders, her right-hand enforcer, shuffles some papers. The rest of the HOA board members, all older, all white, sit in a stiff row, their faces unreadable. Carol clears her throat. Before we begin today's agenda, I'd like to address an ongoing violation in our community. Her sharp eyes flick to me. Mr. Johnson, as you are aware, you have failed to comply with repeated notices to remove an unapproved structure from your property. As of this morning, your outstanding fines total $1,400. Failure to comply will result in legal action, which may include a lien against your home. Murmurs ripple through the room. Some of my allies shift uncomfortably, but I remain still, hands folded in my lap. Carol tilts her head, feigning concern. I understand this may be a financial burden, but the rules apply to everyone. Surely, you don't expect special treatment. A few chuckles from the HOA's usual loyalists. I let the silence stretch for a beat before I speak. Funny. That's exactly what I was about to say, to you. Carol's smile wavers for half a second. Excuse me? I stand up, pulling a stack of papers from my folder. I did some digging. You claim the rule about porch swings was updated last month, right? She straightens. That's correct. I hold up the HOA bylaws, the official version, the one filed with the county office. Except, according to public records, there were no amendments last month. In fact, there haven't been any updates in over a year. I turn to the crowd. Which means the rule Carol claims I broke. It doesn't actually exist. The room falls into stunned silence. Carol's face tightens. Greg leans in and whispers something to her. But I don't stop. I pull out another document. Now let's talk about selective enforcement. The Thompsons, I gesture toward the elderly couple in the second row, have had a porch swing for 6 years. Never got fined. Never got a letter. Mrs. Thompson lifts her chin defiantly. That's right. More murmurs, some of them sharper now. Carol tries to regain control. The board has the right to approve or deny requests based on the aesthetic harmony of the neighborhood. I arch an eyebrow. And what exactly is out of harmony about my porch swing, Carol? Is it the color? The shape? Or maybe, just maybe, it's something else entirely? A beat of silence. Then Mr. Thompson, the Navy vet, speaks up. We all know what this is. His voice is rough with disapproval. This HOA has been targeting people based on race for years. A wave of agreement rolls through the crowd. Carol's lips press into a thin line, but I see it, the flicker of unease in her eyes. I drop my final bombshell. And just so everyone knows, I filed a formal discrimination complaint with the State Housing Board. I toss the document onto the table in front of Carol. They'll be conducting an investigation into all of your enforcement practices, which means every fine, every rejected approval request, everything will be under scrutiny. Carol's face drains of color. You can't just. I can, I say smoothly. And I did. The crowd erupts, some gasping, some outright laughing. Carol's control is slipping, and she knows it. I turn back to her, voice steady. You tried to fine me into silence, tried to humiliate me, but you picked the wrong guy to mess with. I lean in just enough for only her to hear. And you will regret it. The room erupts in a low murmur, a mix of shock, whispered disbelief, And something even Carol can't ignore, doubt. Her power, so absolute just moments ago, is slipping through her fingers. I can see it in the way her lips twitch, the way her hands grip the table as if it might keep her from spiraling. But I'm not done yet. Now, I'm sure the HOA will try to spin this. I continue, addressing the entire room. They'll claim it was a simple mistake, that there was no intent behind these selective fines. I let the words hang. But what if I told you there's proof? A ripple of unease spreads through the board members. Carol stiffens. That's ridiculous. I hold up my phone. Then I guess you won't mind if I play a little recording? Her face goes white. I tap the screen, and suddenly, Carol's own voice fills the room. We need to be careful about who we let change the look of this neighborhood. If we start approving anything, soon it'll look like a rundown street in Atlanta or, God forbid, Detroit. Gasps. Stunned silence. Someone in the back mutters, "Oh, hell no." Carol shoots up from her chair. That's taken out of context. I hit pause. Is it? I glance at Mr. Thompson. Because I'd love to hear any context that makes this sound less racist. Carol's mouth opens and closes, her composure cracking for the first time. I turn to the crowd. This was from an HOA meeting last month. One of your own board members recorded it, anonymously because they were afraid of retaliation. I glance at the row of board members, which makes me wonder, how many of you knew about this and just went along with it? A few of them shift uncomfortably. Greg Sanders, Carol's second in command, looks away entirely. But I'm not done yet. I place another document on the table. And here's something even more interesting. A copy of the discrimination lawsuit filed against Carol in her previous HOA position, before she was forced to resign. Collective gasp. Carol's eyes widen. You're lying. I smirk. Oh? Then you won't mind if I pass this around. I hand the papers to the first row, where Mrs. Thompson takes them with barely disguised glee. It's all public record. Carol Whitmore was sued twice for racial discrimination in HOA leadership roles. And yet, she ended up here enforcing the same policies with the same racial bias. I look her dead in the eyes. So tell me, Carol, was my porch swing really the problem? She's shaking now, her mind scrambling for a way out. But the worst is yet to come. The doors to the meeting room swing open, and in walks Daniel Foster, the representative from the State Housing Board. A hush falls over the room as his presence registers. Good evening, everyone, he says, his voice calm but authoritative. I understand this HOA is currently under investigation for discriminatory enforcement of policies. After reviewing the complaints, I thought I'd sit in. He turns to Carol. Ms. Whitmore, you should have received notice of our inquiry yesterday. Carol's face is frozen in horror. Daniel gestures to my phone. And I have to say, that recording was very enlightening. It's over. Carol stumbles backward, her chair screeching against the floor. This is a setup. This is an attack. You people are ganging up on me. You mean holding you accountable? I cut in smoothly. That is what rules are for, right? To keep the community in order. Her hands tremble as she looks around the room, desperate for support. But her allies? They're silent. The board members look away. Greg clears his throat awkwardly, and even the usual HOA loyalists shift uncomfortably in their seats. Nobody wants to go down with a sinking ship. Daniel steps forward. Ms. Whitmore, as of this moment, the State Housing Board is officially suspending your authority over HOA policy enforcement until a full investigation is completed. He glances at the board. I strongly suggest the HOA reconsider its leadership if it wants to avoid a civil rights lawsuit. Silence. And then, Mr. Thompson claps. Slow at first, but then others join in. Within seconds, the whole room is applauding. Some in victory, some in sheer relief. Carol looks around, her face contorted with rage and humiliation. But there's nothing left to say. She lost. 2 weeks later, the headline hits. HOA president exposed for racial discrimination. State investigation underway. Carol's face is plastered all over the local news. A grim, Tight-lipped mugshot of a woman who built her power on fear, now completely powerless. The article details everything: the illegal fines, the fabricated rules, the lawsuits from her past. Even her former HOA victims come forward, eager to share their own stories. By the next board meeting, she's gone. Resigned in disgrace, though we all know she was forced out. Greg Sanders tries to act like he had no idea, but the community isn't buying it. The rest of the HOA board? They're scrambling to distance themselves, voting to repeal dozens of unfair fines in a last-ditch effort to avoid legal trouble. But the damage is done. The community has changed. The first morning I sit on my porch swing, I take a deep breath. The sun is just rising, painting the sky in soft pinks and oranges. The swing creaks gently beneath me, a sound that, for the first time, doesn't carry the weight of a fight. Car pulls up in my driveway. Mr. Thompson steps out, a paper bag in hand. "Figured you could use some coffee," he says, handing it over. "You sure stirred up a storm, son." I chuckle. "About time somebody did." He nods, rocking back on his heels. "You know, I should have spoken up sooner. A lot of us should have." His voice is quieter now, regret laced through it. "But I won't make that mistake again." I meet his gaze. That's all that matters. As the days pass, small changes start appearing in the neighborhood. The Thompsons' swing gets repainted. The Jeffersons, a black family that had never been granted permission to build a patio, finally get their approval letter. More neighbors start talking to each other, calling out injustices when they see them. And the best part? The HOA votes in a new president, Mrs. Patel, a woman who actually believes in fairness. Justice isn't just about winning, it's about change. And now, sitting on my porch, sipping coffee, and feeling the breeze sway my swing freely, I know, this is just the beginning.